No, the boy said, good morning. As you can see, babies need their goodie. Good morning. And yes, I'm early. I got a lot to get done this morning. It's Friday morning and I got a lot to do. So, sorry I'm early. I know I set it for 7:30, but I need to try and get some kind of a rhythm going here this morning and get a lot done. So I need this to be a very productive morning. So good morning. Welcome to my kitchen. And as my cup says, yes, but first, coffee. As you've seen from my thumbnail, I'm going to be very busy this morning. I'm going to be making some ham, egg, and cheese breakfast muffin bites. So I've got my muffin pans ready, and I've got them on a cookie sheet lined with aluminum foil. I've got some eggs. I've got some cheese. I've got a 8-ounce package of cubed ham, because we're going to make a ham, egg, and cheese breakfast muffin bite. And I'm going to be doing a pork loin for dinner, so I'm going to get that started. I also steamed some potatoes in my crock pot, so I'm going to have let them cool. I want to be cutting these up for home fries to take to the camp to do on the griddle. And I also have my bread machine out this morning, and I'm making my bread dough on the dough cycle. So that should be ready in about 11 minutes. I'm hoping I can get these muffins put together and get them in the oven, and then I can move on to everything else I need to get done this morning. So, good morning. Welcome to my kitchen. And yes, we're going to have a very busy morning. So let me get my oven preheated to 350 degrees. I'm going to make sure I don't have anything in there. I've got my cast iron bread pan out. Let me make a little bit of room, and then we will move over. And I have little ones fussing this morning. Okay, I'm going to get me a workspace ready over here, and I'm going to move you over here this morning so we can get started over here. So I have my potatoes cooling. They will be cut up here in just a little bit. So I'm going to move those off to the side. And I was fermenting my honey and garlic, and it is coming along very nicely. I'm going to go ahead and move that off to the side. I'm going to make me a workspace right here, and we will get started this morning. How are you this morning? Are you ready for a good weekend? Okay, so let me see if I can't get a little workspace set up here this morning. Get my hands washed, and we will get started. Okay. So good morning. Happy Friday. We made it through another week. We did it. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get me some eggs ready to make the muffins. And these are so simple, so easy. So if you're in a hurry of the morning and you just want a quick breakfast, they are a breakfast muffin, and they are, I call them ham, egg, and cheese breakfast muffin bite, because we're making them in the muffin pan. And then for dinner, I'm going to be cutting up and cooking some potatoes for my mashed potatoes for dinner. So I'm going to go ahead here and get started. I got my handy dandy little trash bag ready. And I'm going to do 10 eggs. Let me see if I can get you in the picture, me in the picture. And that way, you need to focus on this, not me. Alright, so I am going to get a whisk, because I'm going to need a whisk. And I've got some powdered milk here ready. And I have got a 2-cup measuring cup. I'm going to be mixing up a little bit of milk to add in with my egg mixture for the muffins this morning. For the muffin bites. So, let's get started. I got a lot to get done this morning. I'm not sure if we're going to make it back to the camper this evening or not. But just in case, I'm going to go ahead and have dinner ready. And then all I have to do is just take it to the camper. And I will be ready for dinner this evening. So I got a few things that I still need to divide up and go through in my freezer. I've got some chicken breasts that I want to divide up into individual packages, servings. And then I have some bacon that I'd like to divide up in individual packages. And I think that's all that I need to do for the freezer. I think I've got everything done in the freezer for now. My freezer rotation looks really good. I don't need an eggshell in there. Alright, I'm just going to set that aside. Wash my hands. So I have 10 eggs in the bowl. And I've got me a whisk. I'm going to go ahead and move my handy dandy little trash bag over. So now I'm going to go ahead and make some of my powdered milk. And I'm only going to make a cup this morning because I'm not going to need a whole lot to add in there. So this is a whole milk powder. And it's 4 tablespoons to 8 ounces of water. Let me take out my oxygen absorbers. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4 tablespoons of whole milk powder. And then 8 ounces of water. And that will give me a cup. And that's probably more than what I'm going to need this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and get that made up. goodness, my nose is itching this morning. A lot of stuff blooming and pollinating out there. The pollen is very high here this morning. Okay, so we've got 1 cup of whole milk, and I've got 10 eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and just whisk my eggs up. My oven is preheating to 350 degrees. So good morning. We are going to make some breakfast ham, egg, and cheese breakfast muffin bites. And these are just amazing. So if you're in a hurry and you just want a quick breakfast, you can just grab a couple muffins and heat them in the microwave and you have an instant breakfast. So I wanted to go ahead and get some of those made. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of milk. And boy, I'm messy this morning. Maybe I should have had a little more coffee. I added probably about 1/2 cup of milk. Just to make the eggs a little fluffy, more fluffy. Okay, so now I'm going to move this direction, and I'm going to get my pans ready. And I'm just using 2 silicone pans this morning for my breakfast ham, egg, and cheese breakfast muffin bites. And I've got a little brush here. And I'm just going to add a little bit of, and my bread's ready. So I'm going to have to hold this. I got my bread dough in the bread machine. So we're going to hold on the muffins. Let me go ahead and get my bread in my bread pan. So we're just going to change a venue here. I just need a little bit of room to shape my bread. To form my loaf. So let me go ahead and wash my hands. And I'm going to be using a cast iron bread pan this morning for my bread loaf. So I want to go ahead and get that oiled. So let me just, I usually over oil my cast iron. So that way I know nothing sticks. And I always want to make sure that I get the corners really, really well. Because it is cast iron. So now I'll just brush this around really good and get this ready, and then we'll shape that loaf of bread, and I will get it set off to the side and let it rise. And that is just my regular loaf bread. So this will just be regular sandwich bread, and that's just my basic bread recipe that I use for everything. My dough recipe. I call it my everything dough. I made pizza crust with it yesterday, and the pizza turned out absolutely amazing. And then because it is cast iron, I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of oil on the rim, just to make sure that the bread don't stick. And then I'm going to add just a little extra on the bottom. And I'm going to double check those seams. All right. So now let me go ahead and get my bread loaf ready. And this is just a simple, easy bread dough recipe. I've made it several times on my live stream, so if you want to go back and check those, I think I gave the recipe on the one where I was making bread. I had, I think, a loaf of bread on the thumbnail. And this is just an amazing bread dough. I absolutely love it. So I'm just going to basically shape this a little bit. It's a little bit sticky this morning. I don't want to overwork it. So I'm just going to kind of make like a rectangle. Then I'm going to take the head up, bring it down, take the shoulders out, pull them in, and then I'm just going to roll it toward me to make a roll. Make a loaf. And then I'm just going to plop it right into my bread pan. And I'm going to set that to the side and let that rise. Alright, so let me wash my hands again. Add a little water into my bread pan there. Make it easier for cleanup. And I just used the bread machine on the dough cycle. All right. And that'll probably take about 30 minutes to rise. So, now we can go ahead and move back to our breakfast muffin bites. And I just have vegetable oil in here with the brush, and I could spray these, but I'm just going to go through and brush some vegetable oil on my muffin pans. Just want to make sure I get them all greased. And these are a ham and cheese breakfast muffin bite. And they're absolutely delicious. If you have children, they will absolutely love this. I know when I want a quick breakfast, I'll make them ahead and put them in the freezer, and I can just go in and take out a couple muffins, and I have a quick breakfast. And these will be really nice for me to take to the camper. Be a quick, easy, warm-up breakfast. If I have company, I can just add that right to the breakfast bar, and they can go through and self-serve breakfast bar at the camper. I like to brush it in these pans. It keeps a lot of the mess from getting onto the top. If you're spraying, you overcast and overspray. Plus, this way I know that I'm getting the whole inside of each muffin pan. All right. So those are well greased. And that's just vegetable oil. Okay. I have a 8-ounce package of cubed ham I'm going to be using this morning. If I can get it open, there we go. And what I like to do, because the ham is so small, I can just go ahead and add it first. Normally the ham wants to tend to sink anyway. This way I know I get about the same amount in each muffin pan. And an 8-ounce package works out really well for 12 of these breakfast muffins. Muffin bites. Ham, egg, and cheese muffin bites. And then I'm just going to divide up the extra here. It's kind of randomly added in. Okay. Wash my hands. My oven is preheated to 350 degrees. I have some shredded cheddar cheese. And I whisked up 10 eggs, and I added about a half a cup of whole milk, and I mixed the whole milk up with my, from my milk powder, whole milk powder. So now I'm going to put the egg into my muffins, and hopefully I won't make too big of a mess. We shall see. And I don't want them completely full because these will rise as they bake. And then they will deflate as they're cooling a little bit. So I have my sandwich bread. I put it in the bread machine, and I got my dough ready. I just got that formed, and that's now in the cast iron bread pan to rise. It'll take about 30 minutes to rise, and then I'll bake my sandwich bread for dinner. And that was just a basic recipe. The one that I like to use, basically my everything recipe. And 10 eggs and about a half a cup of milk works out really well for these. Just going to divide that up a little bit. So I have them not full because they are going to expand as they bake. And then of course they'll deflate a little bit as they cool. All right. Down to the last drop. We'll rinse that bowl just a little bit so it's easier to clean. So good morning if you're just coming in. Welcome to my kitchen. So now I'm just going to go through and just kind of clean up any mess that I made here to make it a little bit more presentable. I got just a little bit down there on the tray. There we go. And now I'm going to put these... Oh, wait. Got to add my cheese. Almost forgot my cheese. So I've got the greased muffin pans. I put the cubed ham in first. Added my egg and milk mixture. And now I'm going to add some shredded cheese to each one of these muffins. Because we can't have ham, egg, and cheese if I forget the cheese. Now you could put all this in one bowl if you want to. I just like to do it individually because then I get about the same amount in each one. And these are so pretty when they bake. Just going to top them off just a little bit more with cheese. And then I'm just going to put these in the oven at 350 until they're golden brown. Alright, and put a few more in this one. And just a few more in that one. Trying to use up the cheese, but I'll have a little extra, but I'll be using that, I'm sure, for another meal that I'm making, so I'm going to lay that to the side. And now, again, I'm just going to kind of just go through and just do an easy wipe, just to make sure I don't have anything on top, just to make it more presentable, nothing more. Okay, now I'm going to put these in the oven at 350 degrees, and these will be bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast muffin bites. And I'm going to set my timer for about 15 minutes. And we'll take a look at it in 15 minutes and see what we've got. Okay, so that is the bread. Is now out of the bread machine. I did it on the dough cycle, formed the loaf. It's rising in the cast iron bread pan. We've got the muffins in the oven. The egg, ham, and cheese breakfast muffin bites are in the oven. So now I'm going to go ahead and work on these potatoes. I put my potatoes in the crock pot and I'll let them steam for 8 hours. So now I'm going to cut these up for hash browns for the weekend and for breakfast meals or for whenever I need them. So I'm going to move you over. We'll put the bread there. And I'm going to move you over to the other side. And I'm just going to rotate these things around a little bit. And put my cheese away. Okay. Get me a workspace ready here. So good morning if you're just coming in. Good morning. Welcome to my kitchen. Okay, we're going to work on this side for a little while. Now, I am still remodeling my kitchen, and no, we haven't gotten any farther, so this side has still not been remodeled. As you've seen, I was working on my beautiful island that my hubby got in for me. It is in, and it is absolutely beautiful. This is what my kitchen will look like one day when we get it all finished. But we're just taking our time and doing it as we can. And I'm crooked. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get these potatoes chopped up into some hash browns. And yes, I'm having some coffee this morning. Okay. So let me move you over here just a little bit closer. And I need a knife. And I have my handy dandy, wonderful kitchen tool that I absolutely love. My baggie holder. And if you're working in the kitchen alone, these are absolutely amazing. It's like having an extra set of hands, and I absolutely love it. And what I'm going to be doing with these is dividing them up into quart freezer bags. And doing portions for 2. I'm a family of 2, myself and my husband. So this way I know that it's just the right amount for my husband and myself. And if we're at the camper and we're doing breakfast on the grill, I can do my home fries on the griddle. And I know that each one of these is a quart bag. And it is just about the right amount for myself and my husband. So all I'm going to do is just basically cut these up into homemade hash browns. And I steam these in the crock pot for about 8 hours. And now I'm just going to chop these into some hash browns for breakfast. Now you can do these any size you want to. That's your preference. But they've already been cooked thoroughly. They've been cooled. And then all I have to do is just add them to my griddle or to my pan of the morning if I'm doing them in the kitchen at the camper. And I have instant home fries, hash browns. I absolutely love it. So if you're planning your meals in advance, this is a really good idea. And this way I know that I'm constantly rotating like my potatoes, when I get my potatoes in, I know that nothing's going to waste. These have already been pre-cooked. They'll be frozen in individual bags, portion sizes, and it'll save me time whenever I go to use them for my breakfast. If I'm making a breakfast casserole, I use these. They are absolutely amazing for a breakfast casserole. Or if you just want to do them in your frying pan of a morning, or in your oven, or whatever you want to do. They're so quick and easy because they've already been pre-cooked. And we love to do them on the griddle. And I try to not overfill my quart baggie because I'm going to be freezing these. So what I'll do is put about 2 potatoes in each bag, approximately. And then I'm going to go ahead and lay them flat. So when I go to freeze them in my freezer, they're stackable and they don't take up a lot of extra space in my freezer. And then I have my home fries. So I'm going to go ahead and stack those over on the other side. And I'm going to keep moving on through this morning. And then I'm going to get a pork loin in the oven, ready to go in the oven for dinner today. And I'll have the homemade bread, sandwich bread. So this is whatever you prefer, again, on your size. It just saves time. It keeps your grocery stock, your produce rotated. Nothing's going bad. You can make quick breakfast meals or any meal with them because they're already pre-cooked. I love them in breakfast casseroles. I love them just as home fries, heated up of a morning to go with breakfast. Years ago, I worked in a restaurant, and this was one of the preferred things in the restaurant that was on the menu, and people just absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I've been doing this for many, many years. And like I said, you can chop them into any size that you prefer. That's totally up to you. And usually about 2 potatoes. I usually get a bigger one and a smaller one if I have random potatoes like I do with this batch. And I just try to balance my bags out. And I know that that portion is perfect for a breakfast casserole if I'm making a breakfast casserole. Or it's a perfect portion for my husband and myself for breakfast. Or for whatever meal that I'm making. And I love these little baggie holders. It's one of the best little investments that I made. Because it's like I have an extra set of hands in the kitchen holding my bag open for me. And it just makes your kitchen task so much nicer. And they're very inexpensive, and I purchased those through, I got 2 of them, and I purchased them through Amazon. So this is one thing that I do ahead of time. And then I always have that in my freezer. Anytime that I just want a quick breakfast, I can go in and grab some home fries, hash browns, whatever you want to call them, and add it to my breakfast. Or make a casserole. Or if I'm just doing the griddle, again, it's a way to keep your produce rotated. You're not wasting any of your produce. You're keeping your produce fresh. You're also getting yourself back up for your freezer meals. Made ahead, prepped ahead. So, I really enjoy doing things like this. Let me see. That might be enough for that bag, I think it is. Oh yeah, that's plenty for that bag. Let me see, I got 2, 4. Let me go ahead and add one more half of one to this bag. And that way I can balance these out a little better. And use up all of my potatoes. And I like just putting them in the crock pot and just setting them. I add a little bit of water to the bottom of my crock pot and basically just let them steam on high for 6 to 8 hours. Makes a very quick and very easy breakfast meal or anytime meal if you just want hash browns for dinner. And I think it's always nice to have made ahead meals in your freezer. Especially if you have an emergency or you're not feeling good and you just need a quick meal for the day. You can go into your freezer and just pull out one of your prepared meals that you've done ahead of time. And it makes it so much nicer. Because you never know when you'll have an emergency or you're just not feeling good. Or you just don't feel like cooking a great big meal. It'll save you time in the kitchen. And I think I've said it several times, but whenever I ended up getting injured, it was so nice to have those extra meals. Then I'm going to check my muffins. I'm going to give them another 30 minutes, or 15 minutes, sorry. Okay. I'm going to do half and one more half into that bag. So I'm getting quite a bit down here this morning. I've got my loaf of bread rising for dinner. It's in the bread pan on its final rise, and then I can bake it. I've got my breakfast, bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast muffin bites in the oven. I'm getting my potatoes, hash browns, divided and cut up and portioned into individual portions. So I am just moving right along this morning. And today's Friday, and then I still have to get my pork loin ready to go in the oven. So once I get this done, I'm going to go ahead and get my pork loin prepared, and then it'll be ready to go in the oven when the muffins come out. And then I still have some meats that I need to divide into individual portions for the freezer. And then I have gotten everything done today that I wanted to get done. And then, of course, I think I'm going to make some mashed potatoes to go with my pork loin, and then probably a side of sweet corn. That way I know I've used up all of my potatoes, all of my produce is used up before I go camping. I have potatoes to take with me for baked potatoes, or if I need any particular potatoes for the weekend. And then all of the smaller potatoes I'm using up today, and then I'll have them cooked, divided into portions, and put in the freezer. So there is my home fries. Okay, so let me go ahead and move that. I'm going to move this knife out of there so I don't bump myself and get cut. And I'm just going to do a quick rinse on it. It's easier to clean. And then I'm going to move my cutting board and get my space cleaned back up here, because I am very limited on my space right now with remodeling. But we make do. It's all good. Okay, so that is another task complete. And I'm going to go ahead and get this one in the dishwasher. And then I'm going to clean my space back up. And my bread is rising very nicely. It's almost ready to go into the oven. So I'm trying to keep a nice rhythm going here this morning. It's rising very nicely. And then I have my pork loin that I'll need to get ready to go into the oven. So I'm going to get another cutting board. I like to keep rotating my cutting boards, and that way I know I'm not cross-contaminated. Okay. Getting my space ready for round 2. Or round 3 maybe. I think this is round 2. Okay, so now I'll check my muffins. Oh, they're looking amazing. They're getting there. So I'm going to go ahead and get out some aluminum foil. I'm going to get out the pan, the glass pan I will be using to bake the pork loin in. And then I'll also be using a cookie sheet lined in aluminum foil underneath of my glass bakeware for my pork loin. Now this is going to be noisy, so I do apologize in advance. But I need to line this just like you would if you were making a ham. Because I want to completely wrap my loin. I apologize for the noise. Sorry if it's too loud. I should have had this done ahead of time. I apologize. So I put one layer in that way. Because I'm going to have all kinds of goodies in here and I don't want to lose any of those wonderful juices. And then I'm going to put this one in this direction to make a really nice bowl. Form a bowl in there to hold all those wonderful juices. I'll try and do this quickly, sorry. I do apologize. It's a little loud. Okay, so what I've done is just basically formed a nice little bowl in there. And I'm going to try and get my corners down so everything lays smooth. Because I'm going to be basting my loin. So I'm going to get out some brown sugar. I'm going to get out some Worcestershire sauce. And I'm going to get out some soy sauce. And that's going to be what I'll be basting my loin with. I'll be baking this in the oven. And about every hour or so, I'll go in and check it. And then I will baste my pork loin just like I would if I was making a ham. So I want to make sure I've got plenty of fluid in there because that's going to be my base. And I'm using as a base. And I have a half a loin, and this one was 5 pounds, so this is about 2.5 pounds. And I cut them in half because I do have a small family of 2. And that way I know that I have no waste. So one loin, which was $10.85, made my husband and myself 2 very nice dinners. Let me wash my hands here. Because when you're cooking for a family of 2, you don't want any waste, but you still want to eat very, very healthy. So now, again, I'm going to bring out my soy sauce, and I'm just going to cover my top of my loin with some soy sauce. And I'm just going to go ahead and use up the rest of that bottle. And then I'm going to add some Worcestershire onto the top. And I just want to make sure it pours all the way around, because this is going to be absolutely delicious. And now, I absolutely love the brown sugar. On the loin. It balances everything out so nice. So, I am going to completely cover, so don't panic, trigger warning. It's going to be a lot of brown sugar, because I am going to pack the brown sugar on my loin. So, if you don't like sugar, you may want to look away for a minute. I really pack the brown sugar on my loin. And I'm going to try and get it on the sides. All over the top. And then, yes, I'm adding some into the soy sauce and Worcestershire sauce base. So, yes, it's a lot of sugar. Alright, let me wash my hands. Now, if you don't like that much sugar, you can either do it without the sugar or use less brown sugar. Now, just like with the ham, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this is completely wrapped and sealed. I want that to steam as it cooks and bakes. And this will be in the oven for hours. It's going to be on 350 degrees. And probably about every half an hour or so, I'll go in and check it and baste it until the tenderloin is done and nice and cooked in the middle. So I'm filling this to try and keep as much steam in there as I can. And this makes such a tender, delicious pork loin. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring this down. And then I'm just going to wrap it right around there. Get everything sealed in there. And then that will go in the oven at 350 degrees until it is tender and done. It usually takes a couple hours, at least 2 to 3 hours, depending on your size of your pork loin and the oven temperature that you decide to bake at. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get my sugar put away. Get this put away. Let's check my muffins. Oh my goodness, those are looking delicious. I'm going to give them another 10 minutes. And then I'm going to put my loaf of bread in. It's ready to go in the oven to bake. And then this will be ready to go in the oven. So I'm going to set this off to the side. And that will be ready to put in the oven when my oven has the availability. But I'm going to go ahead and get my muffins done. And then I wanted to get my bread done. And it looks amazing. It's ready to go in. I'm going to give that just a few more minutes. And then, in the meantime, I can go ahead and get these ready to go to the freezer. I'm going to let them continue to cool just a little bit. As you can see, they still are a little bit warm. So I'm going to let them continue to cool. And then these will be ready to go to the freezer. And that gives me 5 servings of home fries to put in my freezer. So I've done a freezer stock up this morning with my home fries. So I'm going to set those off to the side. And let me see, what else did I need to do real quick? Trying to think here rhythm-wise what I was doing. I will be making some sweet corn on the side, and I'll be making some mashed potatoes to go with the pork loin. So that'll be my 2 sides, and then I will have my sandwich bread. So, how are we doing? Oh my goodness, those muffins are almost there, guys. Almost there. So, let me go into the freezer. I wanted to pull out my chicken that needs put in portions, so I'll be right back. And I always buy in bulk. So this is 8 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast. So I need to portion this out into meal size for myself and my husband. And whenever I fix a dinner or a meal, I always fix my Maltese, my 2 babies, a meal to go with it. They cannot have pork. So they will be having chicken breast for dinner. So I need to portion that out. But before I get started on that chicken, oh my goodness, those muffins look delicious. So I need another. Right, let me take them out here and take a look. Oh my goodness. I think I'm going to give them about 10 more minutes. Let's see how they rise. I'm going to give them maybe about 10 more minutes. And then I'm going to pull those. So I've got 3 minutes left on my timer. So I'll let that run out and then I'll see what that looks like. And I'm going to need to get out probably some more baggies. Say, I don't know how many's in there, but I know I usually put 2 per bag. So I'm going to get out another box of baggies. And get those open. Because when I start working with the chicken, I don't want to cross-contaminate anything. So I'm going to get several bags out. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let me get one more out just for an even number. So there's 10. And now I'm going to go ahead and open these just to make it a little easier for myself. Alright, and my bread says I'm ready to bake. Put me in the oven. And I love these because they just collapse. They're easy to store. They're very inexpensive. So, I'm trying to think. I need to get these separated, and then I have some bacon that I want to separate and put in our-size meal servings. So that will be my complete freezer restock. I did the hamburger, the 8 pounds of hamburger the other day on my live stream. And then I'll have my muffins, my breakfast, ham, egg, and cheese breakfast muffin bites in the freezer. I'll have my hash browns in the freezer that we just cut up. I will have, see what else did I do on my freezer stock up the other morning meat-wise. I don't remember. Isn't that? It's been a busy week. It's been a very busy week. But we'll go ahead and get this chicken divided. And then I'll get my bacon divided up. And that should be everything that I purchased. And everything that I wanted rotated in my freezer. And then I'll be ready to go to the camper. And I'll have everything set out in portions. I'm down to 4 seconds. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and take those out and take a good look at them. Let me see what I think. Oh, I think that's going to be perfect. But just for good measure, I'm going to go ahead and give them maybe another 5 minutes. I just want to make sure the eggs are completely done. So I'm going to do another 5 minutes. Okay, so while that's doing that, I need to go and get my bacon that I'll be dividing. And then I want to make sure that that is all of the meats that I had that I wanted to get in the freezer, that I wanted to get into portions so that I'd be ready to take it to the camper. And I would have my freezer restocked here, rotated here. This was the last pork loin that I had, and then I ordered the last half. And I got my Walmart order, and I got another pork loin the same size, and I divided it into 2. So it'll be 2 meals. So that has been restocked. My chicken will be restocked. I also restocked not only the boneless, skinless chicken breast, but also some whole chickens. I think I have ordered 2 whole chickens. I got my ground beef divided into packages, so that's all been restocked in the freezer. And I only have 1 large freezer, so I don't want to overstock on one item and not really have enough room for other items. So by me maintaining smaller amounts, like 10 pounds or 12 pounds of ground beef, 2 to 4 whole chickens, a large bag of the chicken breast, this is the 8-pound, and then of course my pork loins, and my roast. I normally keep at least 1 to 2 roast. Then that gives me room to make my freezer meals as well. So if I want to make meatloaf and divide that into freezer meals, I have that space for that whole room, that whole area for all my freezer meals. I'll make mashed potatoes in bulk and divide those up, and I'll have maybe meatloaf in containers, enough for 3 to 4 meals, and I'll have mashed potatoes in containers for 3 to 4 meals, and then I'll make baked spaghetti and breakfast casseroles. So all of the different, or lasagna, baked spaghetti, whatever I want to make. Then I'll have that area in my freezer. So as a family of 2, using 1 large freezer space, by me not overstocking in one thing, that gives me a larger variety of items in my freezer and meal choices in my freezer. And I'm not overstocking my freezer, and it makes it easier for me to see what's in my freezer, for me to pull everything first in, first out, keep everything rotated. So that's how I maintain. Then of course I also have my 2 bottom drawer freezer on my refrigerator, and I'm constantly moving things from my back freezer, my large freezer, stand-up freezer, to my front freezer, and then restocking into my large freezer. And that way I know that everything is being rotated, first in, first out. Because if you overstock, it's so easy for things to get moved to the bottom and overlooked. And the last thing I want to do is waste, because things are just too expensive. Food is too expensive to waste. So I try to do my very best. Of course, I'm not perfect, but I try to do my best with my freezer rotations and my pantry rotations to be reasonable when I purchase. And I know that I only have a family of 2, but I can still buy in bulk to save price-wise and divide it into portions. Okay, let me get my area ready for those muffins to come out. And I'm running out of space. Running out of space. Okay. Yes, that 3 minutes was perfect. Alright, we're going to go ahead and pull those breakfast ham, egg, and cheese breakfast muffin bites are done. Oh, and just look at that. That looks absolutely delicious. Golden brown, fluffy, and they will deflate as they cool. So I'm going to move those over here, and I'll bring you over so you can get a good look at those. And as you can see, my bread says put me in the oven, I'm ready. So there is the muffins. That's the breakfast ham, egg, and cheese breakfast muffin bites. So let me go ahead and get my bread in the oven. As you can see, it raised very nicely, and it's ready to go in. So I'm going to go ahead and get that in the oven. And I'm going to set my timer for about 15 minutes, and then I'll check it in 15 minutes. And I will get a fork, and I'll bring one of these muffins up out so you can see how pretty they are. And they're very hot, so I do not want to burn. Just look at those beautiful muffins. Ham, egg, and cheese muffin bites. Perfect. So those are ready. I'm going to let those cool, and then I will bag those individually. And I usually put about 4 in a bag. So that will give me 1, 2, 3 freezer bags to add to my freezer. So that's going to stock up my freezer on breakfast items. So that is the sausage, egg, and cheese breakfast muffin bites. And then you've seen how they deflate as they cool. Good morning. Hi. Okay, so I'm going to let that cool. My bread is now in the oven. So I'm going to have a few minutes. So while I'm waiting for my bread to get done baking, and then I'll put my loin in because it is ready to go in, I'm going to go ahead and start working on dividing this large batch of chicken into individual servings. So let me go ahead and wash my hands, and I will get started on this chicken because I have plenty of time. So I'm trying to keep a rhythm moving this morning so I can get everything done. And I know that my loin is going to take the longest, so I wanted to get everything else done first. And then I can just go ahead and get my loin in the oven. And then I think I'm going to dehydrate some more chicken jerky today for the puppies. And I want a container to put that chicken in as I bag it to make it easier for me to take to the freezer. Okay, so with a small family, yes, this is 8 pounds. It's a lot of chicken breast. But I save money by getting it in bulk. And my hands just don't work like they used to. I have such a hard time. And they always say, open here. But I struggle All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hopefully these are not too stuck together and I can get them separated. Some of these look like they're very, very nice. Now this one is a large one and a small one stuck together, so I'm going to go ahead and try and get that one in first. Oh, and it's not going to break. No, that's not going to break. Alright. That is going to have to go into a bigger bag. Not a problem. Moving on. I'm going to set that one to the side. Oops. And then I drop everything. Good grief. And these are quite large. These will be very nice. Chicken breast. That's why I only put 2. Get a rhythm going here where I can get them in. I know I normally get 2 in a bag, but these are quite large. There we go. And I want them to lay as flat as they can so I can stack them in the freezer. These are quite big. Very big. I am absolutely shocked. I may have to go with half-gallon bags. Let's see if I can get away with using quarts. But I may end up moving up to a half-gallon because those are very large. Definitely going to have to move up. Let me see if I can find another smaller. There we go. I'll get my smaller ones in these small bags, and then I'll move up to half gallons, because those are just huge. Big. I'm very, very shocked. They're normally not this big, but I am not going to complain. Those are very nice. I've got a few more small ones in here. I think I can get into some smaller bags. And then I'm going to move to some half-gallon bags. Maybe I should have opened this first, but you never know till you open this chicken what size you're dealing with. Okay, do I have any more small ones? I've got 2 more. Relatively small. Oops. And then I'm going to use a half-gallon for the rest of those. Those are some very big chicken. Let me get out some half-gallon bags. And I'm going to need 1, 2, 3. I have had trouble with my hands all week. They just do not want to work. But we may do. Okay. Let's see if these don't get in this bag a little better, because these are stuck together. and they do not want to come apart. So, half-gallon baggie it is. Not a problem. If there's a problem, it's usually me. It's not. It's not what I'm working with. I'm usually the one causing it. Alright, just look at the size of those. Those are definitely some nice chicken breast. Big. Big. And I might have needed a bigger container. Wasn't expecting that, but that's amazing. And I'm going to leave 2 of the smaller ones out to make the puppies for dinner. So I'm going to go ahead and pull, let me see. I'm going to take that one and leave that one out. And that will be the puppy's dinner. I'll make them 2 chicken breasts for dinner. And that is 8 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast. That was very huge. And that's 2 of the smaller ones. So that will be the puppy's dinner. That's what I'll lay out for them for dinner, and I will bake that whenever I'm baking my pork loin. And that will be the puppy's dinner for this evening. And now that I've made a big mess, see if I can move on to the next thing. Let me wash my hands first of all. And get my counter space cleaned up. What a mess. I'm messy this morning. Usually if there's a problem, it's me. It's not what I'm working with. It's me. But I usually get it done. One way or another, I may have a little bit of struggles with it, but I get it done. Move you back a little bit and get me some Clorox wipes. And I'm just going to move that over to the side so I don't have a mess and accidentally knock something off. Because I do that. I am human. I make mistakes. I am not perfect. I never try to be perfect. Alright. So make sure I get everything within the area cleared. There we go. And we've got that done. And let me check my bread. Oh, I forgot to leave my rack. And it's almost there. It's just almost there. So let me go ahead and move that rack. There we go. See, again, it's not what I'm working with. That's the problem. It's me. Okay. Now, we've got all this chicken. So that gave me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and would have been 8 servings for the 8 pounds of chicken breast. So I'm going to go put this into the freezer. Do you like deep fried? Okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to put these in the freezer. timing. Okay. Perfect timing. Let me wash my hands again. And that is really giving me a nice freezer stock up. And let me check my bread. Probably need to turn it. Alright, it's been 15 minutes. I'm going to turn my loaf. And I'm going to set it for another 15 minutes. Alright, so I'm definitely getting a lot done here this morning. I'm going to go ahead and get this in the wash. Okay, so what was the next thing? Oh, I wanted to do my bacon. But I need to wait on that. I'm going to wait on my bacon because I still need to allow these to finish cooling, the home fries, and then get those in the freezer, and then I will have, the last thing will be the bacon. So, get our new cutting board, and these are still a little warm, and I want to make sure that they're completely cool before I move them to the freezer. So that is my home fries. And these are cooling quite nicely, and as you can see, they do deflate as they cool, and they are absolutely delicious. Now that is the breakfast muffins. So let me go ahead and put a few things away, make some room. Oops, I'm bumping you. I did pick up some more of these little freezer cubes, and I absolutely love them. I made homemade ice cream, and these are individually, I got 4 of these, and they came with the lids, and these make perfect size ice cream servings. So I made some homemade vanilla ice cream with the new ice cream machine, and I really like it. It was really easy instructions, and the ice cream turned out as like a soft serve ice cream. And then the only other thing I think that I got in new that I haven't shown yet is I got a couple more freezer containers to do like my freezer meals for the freezer in. And for a small family, I thought these would be absolutely amazing. And these are stainless steel. And these are an 8x8, and there's 2 pans. And then it comes with 2 plastic lids. As you can see, I have not used them yet, and I thought that would be really nice and convenient. That way it's already in the nice, and these are nice and heavy stainless steel, and it came in a set of 2, so I've got 2 8x8 stainless steel pans and the lids, so I can prep my meal put my lids on, put it in the freezer, and then when I'm ready to fix the meal, I can just bring it out, let it thaw, remove the lid, and if I need to put aluminum foil over it or just bake it as is, I thought that would be very convenient. So I just thought those were really nice, and I thought I would try them. And these are the brand on these is a Wall Choice, and I ordered these through Walmart. It says clean, just wipe with a damp cloth and mild detergent, air dry thoroughly before storage, and store in dry areas away from moisture. And they are stainless steel. And again, I'm not affiliated with them in any way, and this is not a promotion, but this is just something I thought I would like to try. And they are Wall Choice, W-A-L-C-H-O-I-C-E, Wall Choice. And these are the 8x8, and they come in different sizes, and I thought those would make an excellent addition for when I'm making my freezer meals. I can do 2 meals, and they're stackable. They won't take up as much room as like a 9 by 13 pan, and they're already in a bakeable stainless steel pan, so I thought I would try those. And again, as you can see, those have just come in, and I have not got to try them yet, but I will be trying them in the future. And then I will give you my honest opinion, as I always do, as to what I think of them. And if I would recommend them, I'll give you my honest opinion on that. Okay. And they were not that expensive. I'll have to look up the price again. I don't remember, but they're 8x8 stainless steel with lid. It says 8x8 silver square baking pan with lid is what it's giving as a description on the side. So I did get those. I have not got to try them yet, but I will be trying them. Probably when I do my next freezer meals. Oh, that bread is looking amazing. Alright, so now I need some space. I'm running out of space, so let me go ahead and move my bread machine. No kidding, no. And I'm going to move my basket over. Because I will be using that little bit of potatoes that I have left. I'll be using those for mashed potatoes to go with my pork loin. As soon as my bread comes out of the oven, I'll be adding the pork loin to the oven. And these, definitely, would I recommend these? You bet I would. These are like having an extra set of hands. And if you have hands like mine and you have problems with your hands, they come in absolutely so handy. I absolutely love them. Would I recommend them? I would. I got those through Walmart, and they were very inexpensive. Okay, so let me just move a few things around. I want to get out another cookie sheet or cooling rack for my bread. It's about ready to come out. So I'm going to just move things over a little bit. So there is the muffins. And add a little bit of water into my bowls over here to make it easier to clean. Okay. And I am going to get a white towel ready. The reason I'm getting a white towel ready is when I take my bread, my homemade bread, out of the oven, it's in the cast iron bread pan. And then what I want to do, let's go ahead and make sure there's nothing there. What I do is I lay a towel down. And then I'm going to bring my bread out and I'm going to put my bread right on this towel. Give me just 1 second and I'll be right back. I need to go check on something real quick. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have any extra bacon in the freezer. That I wanted to rotate and bring out. And then I'm going to get me some butter ready. I've got my white towel ready. And then I have some butter. And I'm going to be putting that on my bread when it comes out of the oven. So I'm going to get that ready. Oh, goodness, that's going to be perfect. So, let me reheat my coffee here, add some warm coffee to my cup. I've got about a minute on the bread. And then the bread will be ready. So, we've got breakfast muffins ready, the ham, egg, and cheese, breakfast muffin bites are ready, And they look absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. And you seen how they did deflate? They were puffed up like a muffin. That's why I don't fill my muffin pan completely full, because they are going to puff and then they will deflate. So I don't fill them all the way up. And then that gives room for the expansion, and then they will go back down. And I have a little bit of vegetable oil in there, so I'm going to set that to the side. Have a drink of my warm coffee. And my bread should be ready to come out of the oven. And then I can put my pork loin in the oven. And there's my timer. Oh, that looks amazing. And I don't know if you can see me. I'm just going to roll this out to the side and just slide that right out. And then I'm just going to add butter to my loaf. That'll help soften it. I like a soft loaf. So I'm just going to add butter all the way around. And then I'm just going to lay it on the side and just add a little bit to the bottom. And then I'm going to wrap my bread. See if I can turn that without getting butter everywhere. Then I'm going to wrap my bread in the towel. And I'm going to tuck everything in, and that helps keep that heat and moisture in there. And with the butter, that'll give you a nice, fresh, wonderful, soft loaf of sandwich bread. So now, let me wash my hands, and I will get my pork loin in the oven. And that is just my regular sandwich loaf bread recipe. And as you can see, it turns out beautifully. So let me keep that all tucked in. Keep that heat in there, and that will moisten that loaf. And then you'll have a very soft sandwich loaf. If you like the harder crust, then you could just leave it on the cooling sheet. You wouldn't need to add the butter or put it into the towel like I just did. I just do that because I like a very soft sandwich loaf, like if I'm going to the store and buying a loaf of bread. So now I'm going to go ahead and get my pork loin in the oven. And then I'm going to set my timer for about 30 minutes. And about every 30 minutes, I'll come in and I'll baste it with that really nice baste of the soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce, and brown sugar that I put in with my pork loin. And then, of course, we got home fries. better. We have the home fries done. We have the muffins done. There's the home fries. And I ended up with, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 quart bags of home fries. And those were just the steamed potatoes that I did in the crock pot. And then I diced them up. As you can see, they're still just a little bit warm. So I'm allowing those to cool, and I'll put those in the freezer. We got our breakfast muffins. The ham, egg, and cheese breakfast muffin bites are done. It took a little bit of doing, but we got our chicken breast, the 8-pound bag of chicken breast, separated into individual servings. And I left this servings of 2 out to make for dinner for the puppies. We got our sandwich bread baked. And don't that just look delicious? And it's already beginning to soften. So, I have got a lot accomplished this morning. The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to separate that bacon into individual packs, just like I did with these. And I'll buy the larger packs of bacon. And these are 1 pound. And then I'll cut it in half. And then that will give me 4 servings for a family of 2. So I'll be breaking that down and putting that in quart bags as well. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of a break because I want to make sure I get these in the freezer, these in the freezer. And then I'll go ahead and get this. Will be my last thing that I'll get done today. And that'll be all of my meats divided and put away in my freezer, completely restocked, everything rotated, and everything ready to go to the camper. And then I'm going to make some mashed potatoes to go with my pork loin, and then I will add some sweet corn on the side for another side. And that will be dinner. Hubby still has plenty of desserts. He still has plenty of chocolate chip cookies. So he's good on his desserts. I don't have to do any desserts today. But I need to hop off of my leg and give it a little break. And I want to take a little time to go back through and clean my kitchen. Get all of this done before the mashed potatoes and the sides for the pork loin. So I need to take a little bit of a break, have a cup of coffee, sit back and relax, and then all I have to do is just baste my roast about every half an hour, well, my pork loin, about every half an hour with the base that I made with the soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce, and brown sugar. I'll baste the pork loin about every half an hour until it is tender and done. And that will be dinner this evening. And we will have the pork loin, mashed potatoes, sweet corn on the side, and homemade sandwich bread for dinner. So that's all I have today. And it's Friday. You can tell I'm getting very tired. It's been a very busy week. I'm trying to get everything restocked. I come back from the camper, and I got all my laundry done, all of the laundry packed and ready to go back, all of the bedclothes brought in from the camper, all of that ready to go, done and ready to go back. And then I took the week and just prepared meals, done freezer restock, some pantry restock. So I've had a very, very busy week, and I'm a little tired, and my leg is really starting to feel feel the pressure. So I've already been on here now. Oh, almost 2 hours. No wonder I'm feeling it. So I'm going to hop off of here and I'm going to have some coffee, give my leg a break. Then I'm going to come in and do a kitchen cleanup, get dinner ready, and get everything ready to go back to the camper. So I want to thank you for stopping in. If you haven't yet and you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. And as you can see, I'm not perfect in the kitchen. I don't try to be perfect. I come in my kitchen. I enjoy my kitchen. I try new things. I learn every day. So have fun in your kitchen. Enjoy your kitchen. But if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. And I will see you the next time. Have an absolutely beautiful weekend. The sun's out. It's supposed to be beautiful. Enjoy the weekend with your family, your friends, or just go out by yourself and enjoy some nature. Go out and get some vitamin D from this wonderful sunshine. And I have babies that need some attention, as you can see. So it's time for Mama to hop off of here and take care of the babies. So I'll see you the next time. Bye-bye, everyone. Enjoy your day and have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye. All right, babies. All right.